Ready when you are.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this meeting. Hopefully it will go well. If I stumble, please don't laugh at me. All right. Right. Okay. I'm sorry.
A few public ones.
Yes. Yes. There is a public, public
So we'll start with apologies.
apologies. Are there any apologies?
We've got everybody.
We've got everybody.
We've got Ricky
Okay.
back online.
Right. And public forum. Do we have people who are going to speak?
There should be some names on that list. You'd like to call from there?
Which list?
Just this one, yeah, this side. Got us.
Oh, yes.
Here they are there.
Okay, Alistair Brickle is first on the list.
There.
Wherever you're comfortable.
All right, I'm here on behalf of two organizations. There's not much time I've got. One is the Mercury Bay Historical Society, which I'm chairman, and also Consumer Ratepayers, Business Ratepayers Association. So I don't know how much time I've got.
You've got 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Okay, so we'll start off with the Mercury Bay Historical Society submission. We know that there's a plan to redevelop the Esplanade and playground area and all that sort of thing coming up. There is the Hogan path out here with little plaques in it, and we, and myself in particular, had input in some of the design, some of those, and some of the text. We're very concerned that these are only about a year or two old, and already they're becoming illegible. The problem, I think, is the fact that you've got these plaques at ground level, and you've got the white gravel, and it's causing a lot of erosion. And I just checked again just now that the first two, this ain't going that way, is the Royal Visit, and that you can't read the text. It's really hard to read the text. Next one is the Dairy Company, Dairy Factory to Museum one, and you can't see the picture of the museum. And of course, the Historical Society were a little bit concerned about that. So I'm wondering what's going to happen with the redevelopment. Is that going to be spruced up, or is a new system going to be used? Are they going to be preserved?
Okay.
And also importantly, is there any claim on insurance? Because they're only a year or two old, maybe maximum. Is there any comeback on the designers, the contractors, or whoever had put the stone down, chose that kind of stone? Is obviously totally unsuitable. The options, I guess, are to try and repurpose them somehow, or raise them up, and maybe put them on a plinth. But then maybe got issues of people riding the bikes into them. Or, I don't know, but we are concerned about it, and maybe going forward, we look at the tax, look at some kind of insurance claim and prepare them somehow. And also in future, please don't do that system again for the redevelopment. Okay. So speaking now as a committee member of the Consumer Ratepayers Association, there's a few things we're interested in, and at the risk of boring Tony, probably got some of this before. Okay, there is the speech management plan out for consultation, and we'll certainly be making a submission as a group and hopefully some individuals as well. The section on Blackjack Road, we totally approved the speed limits. There is a comment in there about that they're going to install threshold style treatments. Now, we don't know what those are. Are they some sort of gateway or speed bumps or zebra crossing, if I can use the word zebra? Or something different. There is apparently a plan out there which our chairman, Brent Page, has seen. Is it possible for us to get a copy of that plan prior to the consultation period or during the consultation period, so we can have a look at it as well? They'll form part of our submission. But at this stage, we just don't know what is planned for these threshold style treatments. I don't know what that means. What encompasses. Okay, that's one thing. Bluff Road has been an ongoing issue, thorn on the side of ourselves and council for many years, of course. We have proposed a suspension bridge type option, a pedestrian suspension bridge spanning the water, which would get the traffic away from the dangerous cliff. I think it's a very sensible idea. And the council has been working with us, and Ed Valley, I think, has been working with people at Mercury and some particular on this. There was a report, Lisa Church, and I think maybe Ed Valley together were producing on this. We're supposed to come to this committee board the June the 1st meeting. Has there been any progress on that? And if so, can we get a copy of it, or is it going to be discussed? We'd like to know where this issue stands, because it's quite a big issue locally, so what happens on that section. Because it's a very valuable asset for the community, for people walking around over the main beach track and coming around the bluff, and also cycling routes. And I think we've been seeing Delhi there.
You haven't seen
On a Friday. Yes. Okay, so that's that one. The third one, another long-standing problem, is the footpath to the west of the Tuna boat ramp. Now, this at present is a very dangerous stretch of road, especially in summertime. There's a lot of trailers and tractors parked there, and people walking indoors with their prams and so on and so forth. They're walking on the road reserve, trying to dodge the trailers, and it's been an ongoing problem, as you all know. Now, a year or two ago, council, I think in conjunction with Sport of Kotahi, put the footpath on the eastern side of the boat ramp. That's great, it's fantastic. We would obviously like to see that extended to the west. Now, I know, I'm pretty sure it is Waka Kotahi Road Reserve, therefore not directly council's brief. But I believe, as Heather might remember this, I think council and Waka Kotahi jointly funded the one to the east. And I think the deal was that the council was going to fund mostly, or what was going to fund mostly the one to the east, and council was going to do the one to the west. But I'm not quite sure exactly how it all panned out in the end. It's obviously joint funding. Do you have any collective memory of what?
I'd have to go back and research.
Okay, that would be great.
It's a 51% subsidy.
That's right, it was, wasn't it, Dominic? Yeah.
And the risk of breaking with you, and as you'll be aware, NCTA subsidies are gone. 80% of that budget came out, so
Right.
we're very aware of it. But
Right, well, we do, sadly, that's right, we do want to keep this on the table, and it is a real safety issue. Maybe not so much now, but in the summertime, you put those tractors and trailers and people with prams and tourists don't know where they're going. So could we please try to find out how it's going to be funded? Is there still a possibility of joint funding from Waka Kotahi? If not, there are other options we can look at as a community. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes.
Anyone have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions as a result of that? Got it under control? Fine. Okay, thank you. Right, next cab off the rank is Niragiri.
Thank you. Atamari, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm here to speak on behalf of all the residents of Moiwai Park Road. There's a proposal going into resource consent to put a Vodafone tower. This is where I live, and this is where my neighbourhood is. And these businesses are very, very stressed to find that a 5G tower is going to be placed. And this is how close the lobster company is, with live tanks of crayfish. I just wanted to let you know that I live currently under Richard Better's 5G tower, and my ears ring with tinnitus every time I'm within the 2-kilometre range of his tower. A child's skull is still developing and is much thinner than an adult's brain. And this makes children more susceptible to radiation. And this is a bus stop where currently all our street and South Highway West children catch a bus. And this is our sports field where I've got many, many signatures from soccer mums, netball mums and dads, and league mums and dads of the fact that we are already so close to a current tower, and you want to put another one on TCDC land so close to an existing tower. 5G frequency, just like 4G, has not been proven safe. And the World Health Organization has classified, Murray, it to be a possible carcinogenic. Corporations have harmed people in the past due to them prioritising profit over people's health and well-being. You don't have to look far. You can look at DuPont, and you can look at examples such as Flint, Michigan crisis. You can watch a movie called Dark Waters, and you can educate yourself into, they said that their product was, they were adamant it was safe, and until this was proven in court. Vodafone and Spark have sold all their towers to a faceless corporation called TowerCo. I doubt it's a New Zealand-owned company. I doubt even if it's Chinese-owned, it most probably is American. DuPont caused many people cancer, and because they're a $1 trillion business, it didn't really matter. They could pay the people who did bother off. Please don't, you know, I invited people in the community board and Thames to come and stay the night, but don't stay for one night, stay for 365 days and see how your circadian rhythm is affected by this technology. I asked Sandra Gowdy if she would like it 40 metres from her home, and she said possibly she'd not like it near her home. I also, it doesn't kill you immediately. A carcinogenic takes time. However, it will kill you over 7 to 10 years of having no melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone we excrete, you and I, and it helps us with our REM sleep, our deep sleep. And what happens with these towers is the radiation from them is like a pebble being thrown into a pond. It ripples out. And light waves travels like this. Our serotonin, our pineal gland cannot decipher the difference between the radio waves, the frequency waves that come off these towers, and light waves. So it stops secreting the melatonin that we need so desperately to mop up the thousands of dead cells we shed every day at night. And without my melatonin, as you can see, you get stress-related issues that occur, such as cancer. You get internal bleeding, pains. It starts predominantly in the head, and I've sent you a link to play the video of a professional. You don't have to take my word for it, but please listen to the professionals, doctors. Insomnia, which I have experienced for a few years now, cardiac arrhythmia, visual disturbances, vertigo, unusual sensations in the body, fingers and limbs, and I've been getting them in my limbs, thyroid dysfunction, and the list is different for different people, but there is a list. The hormone cannot do its job, and animals and insects around these towers will experience it as well in the form of, I just want you to understand it's a cause and effect. Okay, it's 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year, year in and year out. And we have this blanketing effect happening on the Coromandel Peninsula. And I just wanted to remind this council, you promote Coromandel Peninsula to be good for your soul. And many ratepayers' dollars goes into promoting this region. I know because I ran the information centre for 4 years.
Excuse me, your time has elapsed. Can you make this the final comment,
Yes,
please?
and I just wanted, does this council want the rangatahi children and their whānaus, the families, stay hooked on their devices, or being out enjoying the great outdoors of nature, connecting with bees, the birds, the butterflies, and enjoying our bike park, walking the beaches, digging a hole at Hotwater Beach, enjoying our climbing the pinnacles, sailing, fishing off the wharf, boating, and being part of one with Mother Earth. I have got two videos I wanted to show you, the rhythm of Mother Earth, which is the same frequency as our brain, and the rhythm of what these towers sound like if you got yourself an electromagnetic frequency device that transforms this radiation into sound, and you choose what you would like to listen to.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Just keep Coromandel.
Thank you, Nira. No questions? Fine. Thank you. Now, next cab up the rank is Ida Lane.
My name, of course, is Ida Lane, and I live at 24A Maui, Waipara Road, in that same area, right at the entrance of the VD Sports grounds. Now, people can be told it is all in their head, but animals and insects surely can't be dismissed so easily. There have been many studies that have measured the detrimental effects of EMF pollution on animals, frogs and insects. Alfonso Martinez is a wildlife biologist who lives in Spain. In his official capacity, he works in wildlife management for the Environment Department of his region. A building near the school his children attended began putting cell towers on the roof. The antenna farm spouted aerials rapidly, and during the first year of the growth, between December and 2000 and January 2002, 5 cases of leukemia and lymphoma were diagnosed in succession at the school. 4 in children in age 4 to 9, and the 17-year-old young woman who did the cleaning. Considering that our 4 cases of leukemia and lymphoma in children under 12 had been diagnosed during the previous year in the whole province, the community was frightened. Eventually, his community had the cell phone towers removed. People exposed to antennas were not just getting cancer, but much greater numbers were getting headaches, insomnia, memory loss, heart arrhythmias, and acute, even life-threatening neurological reactions. Over several decades of study, he found universally that cell towers had a detrimental effect on bird populations. But because there is currently a debate on Correspondence as to how many of our endangered archies from there are, I will tell you about the study he did on tadpoles. It is very simple to understand. It clearly shows the harmful effects of cell tower radiation. In 2009, during a 2-month period, he took care of 2 identical tanks of tadpoles in the common frog, He set them on the 5th floor terrace of an apartment. 140 metres away, on the roof of an 8-storey building, stood 4 cellular phone base stations, which were early in the neighbourhood. The only difference between the 2 tanks of tadpoles was that a layer of thin fabric was draped over one. The fabric woven with metallic fibres admitted air and light but kept out radio waves. The results were a shocking confirmation of what was occurring out in the rest of the world. In a period of 2 months, the mortality rate was 90% in the exposed tank and only 4% in the shielded tank. Almost all of the exposed tadpoles that exposed only to what the residents of the apartment building were also exposed to, swam in an uncoordinated fashion, showed little interest in food and died after 6 weeks. Bill Murray titled his 2010 article, Mobile Phone Mast Effects on Common Frog Tadpoles. The city turned into a laboratory. I have a list here of all the scientific studies I have referred to and some that I couldn't put in this presentation. Please educate yourselves and help us protect our birds, frogs and insects, as well as our children and ourselves from these harmful health depriving effects.
Thank you. Any questions?
Do you want to table?
Table that last page, Ida.
I didn't put down
The back one, Ida, I'll give him that one. That's all for this.
All right. I didn't mention here that I abhorrent of actually having another telephone set on that scenario. It's really quite.
I don't and remember the sun setting on our ranges, let them know that it's going to affect your view of the sun on the ranges.
I think that we need to carry on, Nira, if you don't mind.
Well, it's going to view, include in my view and her view.
You've had your chance, Nira. Would you please allow other people to continue theirs?
Yes, that is a.
Sorry, but your time has elapsed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Are there any questions before you go? From
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ida.
Thank you, Ida.
And the next one is Kevin Chittenden.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Chittenden. I live on 309 Road. Been a resident here for 40 years. I often stay with my mum at my park. And I help look after and keep her company, and I very much love my mum and enjoy her company. However, when I stay at her place, I suffer from these tinnitus bouts, which is like a kind of a pinging in my ear, which kind of disorientates me. It sort of gives me a feeling of vertigo, and it it kind of trails off and then sort of hangs off, you know. And then it's kind of weird. It makes me feel really strange at the time. Plus, when I'm sleeping there, I'm often woken up in the night with the same occurrence happening, and I'm not sort of sleeping as well as what I think I ought to be, and I do think that it affects me. Having said that, I'd like to read these words in these pages, so I'll go ahead and do that. It's about bees, and a massive decline in insects has been detected worldwide in the last few decades. All insects have a part to play in the wonderful web of life. However, perhaps because they're essential for our food production, most of the attention has gone to the honeybees, who of course don't make honey, but are responsible, who of course don't just make honey, but are responsible for the pollination of almost all food crops. The insect world is as susceptible to electromagnetic pollution as the amphibian world. In fact, as Alexandra Chan discovered in 2004, it is so easy to demonstrate the effects of computers and cell phones on these small creatures that even a high school student can do it. Then 15-year-old and a student at Benjamin Cardozo High School in Queens, New York, Chan exposed fruit fly larvae to a loudspeaker, a computer monitor, and a cell phone, and observed their development. The flies that were exposed to the cell phone failed to develop wings. Radiation and electromagnetic emissions are really more harmful than anyone realizes. The stunned teenager concluded. It must not be forgotten, warns German biologist Ulrich Warwick, that every insect is equipped with a pair of antennas, which are demonstrably electromagnetic sensors. In fact, the signals communicated between honeybees when they meet and touch antennas can be scientifically recorded and appear to be frequency modulated between 180 Hertz and 250 Hertz. And the famous waggle dance, by means of which the honeybee tells each other the precise direction of food sources with respect to the sun depends on their knowing the exact position of the sun, even on cloudy days and within the darkness of the hive. Bees accomplish this feat by sensing miniature vibrations in the Earth's magnetic field, a sense, he says, that can be rendered useless under the assault of wireless transmission with their constantly changing magnetic fields. The quickest way to destroy a beehive, investigators have found, is to place a wireless telephone inside it. The result of such experiments, considering the complete denial of our society that wireless technology has any environmental effects at all, have been almost unbelievable. Europe's first 3G network, which turned every cell phone into a computer and every cell tower into a transmitter of broadband radiation, went into service in the fall of 2002, just before the disastrous winter during which so many of Europe's honeybees vanished. Apparently, Einstein said, if the bees disappear from the surface of the earth, man would have no more than 4 years to live. It is my hope that we will never have to find out if he was right. And I'd just like to say that, that I'm passionate about this for the above reasons, and also because my grandfather was a beekeeper all his life, and he loved beekeeping, and he loved what bees could do, and he saw them as an example to you know, how communities interact, and the rest is just quite obvious. So I'd like to stop there, and that's what I really have to say at the moment.
Right.
Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you. Are there any questions then for any questions that? No? All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Oh, yeah.
I've emailed it to you guys.
Oh, okay, we want to go
Okay,
there.
Thank you very much.
And the next off the rank is Lana Garland. Thank you.
Kia ora, everyone. I am going to speak quite fast because it's a little bit impossible to try and convey what I want to in 5 minutes, but I'm going to give it a go. I presume you're all very well educated on the fact considering you've had no questions so far, so that's great. The first evidence of lung cancer tobacco leak was published in Germany in 1929. By 1955, it was irrefutable. Tobacco companies in the meantime continued to deny publicly any links between the products and cancer or other diseases, and to deny that nicotine was addictive. Internal documents, however, told a very different story. Tobacco company Brown & Williamson's general counsel wrote in 1963, nicotine is addictive. We are then in the business of selling nicotine, an addictive drug. They knew full well 59 years ago. And today, 93 years after the first study was published, they're still on sale. I know we're not here to talk about smoking, but my research suggests to me very strongly that we're in a very similar situation now with the clear scientific evidence of harm from pulsed magnetic radiation or electromagnetic fields. Do the telecommunication companies say it's perfectly safe? Heck, yes, they do. Do they know definitively that it is not, and that it is harmful to not only human health, but to all life on the planet? I couldn't possibly say. But I do think they probably have a lot more resources and a lot more brain power than I do. So I'll leave that to you to surmise. Almost all of this country, and indeed our whole planet, is now bathed in EMF radiation. And yes, this has been foisted upon us with almost no discussion as a community and as a society. How do I know it's almost everywhere? My friend Daniel showed me the maps. He has to know. He lives here in Whitianga, and he is a self-confessed digital geek. He has developed EMF sensitivity. Daniel, now 47, was an early adopter of technology. From his late teens, he worked with the glorious computer all day, every day. Wireless was his jam, way before most of us would have even known it was possible. Daniel made everything wireless. Even his mobile holiday home was equipped with every wireless gadget imaginable so that he would never be disconnected, God forbid. 12 years ago, Daniel visited a friend in a remote dock hut with almost no reception, and he realised that the brain fog, migraines, pressure in his head, shooting pains in his head and neck, and his general fatigue had completely disappeared until his girlfriend turned on her cell phone. I know this is true because sometimes when I visit him, he says, "Oh, have you forgotten something?" And I realise I still have my cell phone on. This is a real thing. This is not in people's heads. A little bit of background, I have to give you this because you think, how can this be true? We're electrical beings. The function of every one of our over 50 trillion cells in our body relies on an electrical reaction. Earth is essentially a battery. The sun, these rays get split in the ionosphere, and they're so powerful that they get split into positive and negative charge. The negative charge sent to Earth by lightning. The positive charge stays in the ionosphere. Negative charge, positive charge, battery. We're electrical beings, we live in a battery. Every time our heart beats, we have a measurable electromagnetic field that extends far past our body. Same with our brain, but it's a lot smaller. Yes, and the Earth itself has a very similar electromagnetic pulse emitting from its heart, commonly called the Schumann resonance. It oscillates, but it averages out at around 7.83 hertz. This resonance is the heartbeat of Papatūānuku, of our life, every life on Earth. Our human brains also emit an electromagnetic pulse. And in our most relaxed states, our brainwaves synchronize to the Earth's frequency at that resonance of 7.83 hertz. This synchronization is essential for many functions of the human body. It is especially pertinent for the hormonal cascade that facilitates deep and restorative sleep, which is essential for health. For 200,000 years or so, life on this planet has been finely tuned to the natural frequencies of the environment and to each other. For the last 20 or so, not so much. Please educate yourselves and your whānau on this topic. We know there is an epidemic of sleeplessness, sleep problems. We know there's a marked rise in the diagnosis of leukemia and lymphomas, not only near cell towers, but also near high voltage electricity lines. And if you're thinking, oh no, I heard a study that said that wasn't true, I challenge you to look into that a little bit further. Who funded that study and how well was it designed? It is true, just like the fact that 15% of this population is now extremely sensitive to EMS. Tinnitus is now recorded in 40% of the population. Used to be only tinnitus affected people with hearing loss. Now it affects people with perfectly normal hearing. And I could go into the whole thing about how it's like we sense that in the head, but that's you to look up. But the massive concern amongst scientists working in this field on the effects of human health is the unknown effects on our babies today that are being exposed so young to this blanket of electromagnetic frequency all over the planet, and especially cell phones close to their bodies. However, research has shown that further away can often be worse. So this is a concern. Moiwai Park, we have 672 signatures that we've collected from residents. I think you'll agree that that's a lot in this small town. People are concerned about this, and I think it's incumbent on you as our representatives to educate yourselves and to please fight. There is already a tower there. There is no need for another one. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, there's nobody else wishing to speak at the moment, so I would request that we accept the public forum. Can someone please? And thank you. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Right. Okay. Yeah. So I know that those people that have spoken are very, very passionate about what they are discussing.
Come and have a sleepover and you'll see too.
No, I don't think I'll come and have a sleepover. What you're saying is perhaps news to some of us, or perhaps I can't judge what you've said, but I have heard you, and I might even do a little bit of research. Who knows?
I have emailed you a
Fine, then
with links.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you again for your time. Much appreciated. Right. Are there any items not on the agenda? No, well, that was easy. Right. Right, is there anything in the manner of conflict of interest in the room?
Yes, I have 1.6.1.
6.1, okay, fine. Duly noted. Thank you. Right, let's move
Through the
on.
Chair, sorry, can we just correct that, it's 6.2.
Okay, apologies.
Well spotted. Well spotted. Okay. So the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll move.
Second.
Before we move on, I think that I noted a slight issue in the previous one. Let me just check on that for a moment. No, I may bring it up later on. So, could I have a mover for the minutes, please?
You had Tony.
Tony, and
I'll second.
Gary second.
Murray seconded as well.
All right, all those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Any questions? No? Fine. Good. Right. Next item on the agenda is Heather's job. It's correspondence report.
I'll just take that as read unless anyone has any questions.
Could we have a mover and a seconder, please?
I'll move.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Jeremy. All those in favour? Against? None? Carried. Thank you.
The next one we have Tony around the room, so it's just any questions on the next one.
Which one?
The next one that's coming up, the Parks of Exclude. Page 15.
Oh, page 15. Oh, yes. Right. Oh, Derek.
Do you want to come up, Tanya?
Oh, Tanya. Thank you.
Whatever.
I had to do that as well. There's one on the slide too. Yeah.
Tanya's going. Tanya's just here to answer some questions if you have them.
If you have any. Yep.
Okay,
Because it
fine.
might be a report.
Right. Right. Does anyone have any questions for Tanya?
I'll stop one.
Yeah.
I know we're here, this is this financial year, what's going on at Mercury Capital Reserve? I don't see that in here. Is that on another budget?
That will be part of the coastal budget.
It is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Crikey.
There is got other message, yeah. So we've got Rick, how will the Mercury Bay Sports Park playground be completed?
Oh, right.
Is Sue online as well?
She is.
Oh, she is, yep.
Yes, sure.
She's just come out of another meeting.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. So the sports park playground is still going through the process of the concept plans because the community have changed them twice. So that's just been held up a little bit, but we're nearly there. So I'm hoping to have that completed by Christmas.
I'm sorry, well,
Sorry, beg your pardon. Yeah.
just with the Katari path, can you just confirm what that is, exactly what that is?
Another one for Sue.
So the project.
Path, 15,000.
What was it?
Katari Park, path, sorry,
Kotari?
yeah.
Yes, so that's for, it's to look at getting a path from the car park where the ambulance station is through to the Memorial Garden and including the new skate park. So the idea was to get the skate park installed by the local community, and then I was going to add a table and a drinking fountain and scope and look at the path. It'd be a hoggin and some concrete.
Right, so can you just confirm that it would basically go from the St John's, that entry there, to the ending at the Memorial Park, is that what you're saying, or the Memorial Garden?
Yes, and then maybe in the future continue it right round to Michelle Lane.
So I know there is a lot of part of the community that don't want to see that continue. And I think $15,000 for path and yeah, I do question it.
That's fine, we can take that offline with the community and
Yeah, I think we probably
do some more
should.
consultation.
Yeah, I think it should be for sure.
Just came through the ratepayer group, and it's more probably directed from the Memorial Garden people are wanting.
Yeah, for sure. It's been requested some time, but I do wonder how utilised it will be and whether the money can be spent better in other areas.
Yep, definitely. Okay.
All right, there's a question also as whether there's going to be a basketball hoop at the sports park. Is this a second one or what?
That's from Rika.
Yeah, from Rika.
Are you asking if that's happening, or is that that's on the list, isn't it?
Sorry, you dropped out there momentarily. Could you say again?
It's got basketball.
Is the basket on the list for the program of work? I'm pretty sure it is.
So the question is
there a second, is that a second one that's on the list? Because she's saying there's already one at the sports park?
Right.
No, there's no basketball.
No, what I'm saying is it's on the list already.
Okay, is that
Yeah.
the original or an additional one?
No, there's no basketball hoop there. We're going to add a new one in
Okay.
under minor projects.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, can I just ask, at what point in our meeting today would it be appropriate to discuss the Mercury Reserve?
Yeah, members' reports probably.
Members' report, okay.
I would have thought so, yeah. Okay.
Can we discuss it in detail then? Yeah. What topic to discuss?
Because I was told I wasn't allowed to ask questions during my members' report a couple of meetings ago. I got shut down for doing that. So I want to have the opportunity to ask some questions and not just raise it as an issue.
I think I'd suggest it is a good time to discuss it, potentially now rather than members' reports.
Through the chair, members' reports are supposed to be for meetings and activities undertaken, but you can discuss it briefly. There just can't be any kind of action for it. You need to bring it back to another meeting.
I just think there's some context around it would be good.
If it's an issue.
Would like the opportunity to ask questions to
Yes.
relevant
Okay,
people
fine.
to understand how that process was undertaken.
It's not an item on the agenda, but I'll get some advice for you if we just move on and I will come back to you.
Yeah, lovely, thank you.
Okay, I think it's
I
probable.
think there's definitely been communication come out of our concept about what happened. On something. It's very clear what happened, and we've all had that. So.
Read that, yes.
All right, but let's leave this until later.
Murray's got his hand up.
Is he?
His hand up.
Okay, Murray.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that because of the public concern in the issue, it could be classified as a matter of urgent business and could come under that because of extreme public concern.
Thank you.
So I believe it's in terms of standing orders, it can come up.
Thank you, Murray.
We believe that we could talk about this later in this meeting.
Yeah, this is this report now.
Yeah, so we will do that later.
Thanks for the backup.
That's just, all I'd say is, from what people are saying is in terms of when does this fit in, it is probably here more than anything, it's talking about parks and works progress.
That's my question.
And so if these are reserves, and there's work being carried out, probably a reasonable time to ask the questions to the appropriate people under that, because after that we go up to the final work program. And then there won't be an opportunity.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay. All right. Well, Heather's said that Derek is now online and perhaps this is a good time to question him. So go to it.
Yeah, and just through the chair, I think Lorna's just getting standing orders to.
Oh, I've got it on my screen, I'm sorry, I'm just getting, double checking the advice through the chair. And we're just looking if we can add it to the agenda as a later, or as an item not on the agenda. But we just have to make sure it meets that criteria, so just bear with me.
Yep, sure.
And we'll get it sorted.
So we continue with the rest of this.
Yes. All right. Shall we move on for, pardon me, next item on the agenda, which is the,
No,
whoops.
no, you still have so the actual parks work program
yes, yeah.
of this.
Yes.
There seems to be a change to the resolution potentially around anything to do with Kortari.
Oh, I see.
It's going to go back to the community. Was that my understanding through the chair?
Short answer, I'm not sure.
So Jeremy, is that
Your point, Jeremy?
your point that you want to make a change to the
Yes,
resolution?
yes, sorry, yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
just making sure.
Yeah, I suggest we relook at the Qatari part and just see if they. Look, I do question how much it'll be used in the.
Fair enough. Where do we go from here, Heather?
So through the chair, the action that you're looking for is for that to go back to the community consultation
Yeah,
Does that,
to clarify whether or not it's actually wanted.
or needed,
Needed.
wanted and needed. I mean, for sure there's a group that want it. Just to make sure we're spending it wisely.
through the chair, can I just check with you, are you just saying that's the Kortari path or also including the drinking fountain and table?
No, I think the table, in my opinion, I found it really valid because it is a sports park and there is going to be a skate ramp there. I guess there's a path needs to be part of all that.
So we just need to look at what are you proposing as the new resolution?
Yeah,
So,
just to remove the path.
okay, so do you want to make some sort of a specific resolution for us to consider?
Yeah, whether we just go back to public consultation or just not public consultation, just engage with, I guess, the community on the, whether we really want to spend that amount of money there when maybe there's another opportunity to spend it somewhere else potentially.
So it's a review of the,
Yeah.
Qatari.
But help Murray or Tony on central resolution, but
Esther, would you be able to put up that suggested resolution so we can have a look at it and
Yep.
the board can see it all written up?
This thing, actually, I think we received this report, so I just think you need a note there to say that you want further clarification on what the money's being spent on.
yeah,
yes.
So that's what that is, but I've got a question about this thing too, as well,
okay.
on a similar vein.
Then it should be noted that there's specifically Qatari Park has come up as requiring further investigation. Okay. Does that make sense to you?
So Rico staff undertake further,
Investigation.
Can't quite see that.
No.
sorry. I was reading a bit better. Investigations and public consultation?
No,
No,
not public consultation.
And so what item was it? I was just.
Path
Kortari
itself.
path.
Yeah, Qatari Path.
I guess I'm just flagging the amount of money and just making sure we're arguing fairly for money.
Yes.
So that down that line.
Sorry, bear with me. I'm just going to get the right one up.
We'll find out. Did you have any further questions on that, Tony?
No, not on that, it's on this report.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is some detail around Simpson's Bore and Wharikaho Toilet Bore, because this has not come, well, to me, or to this board that I know about. So what is it we're doing And if we're doing it on private land, being mindful it's private land that supplies the water, I'd just like some more detail around that.
So
Yes.
through the chair, should we be adding these as actions as opposed to actual resolutions? Because does the board have authority to direct stuff in this instance for Kotari Path, etc.?
But they can't receive the report without a comment on Cortari because that's been taken out of the report,
Okay.
out of their list. But the one that we're raising now is just for Tanya or Derek to answer.
Perfect.
So currently at the Simpsons Beach toilet, we do have a water tank.
Yep.
Which we have to fill up during the peak season every 2 weeks for the toilets to actually run. So the proposal was to install a bore so that we no longer have that issue as that's quite a well-used toilet.
Very good idea.
So is
Now, the bit I want to know is the Simpsons Board, because that is where traditionally the water supply for Simpsons Beach comes from. So what is it we're doing there?
The
Sorry.
water supply comes from the house, which is
No, I can't hear that.
No, that's.
and that's now cut off.
It's the same thing.
It's the
sorry.
same thing.
Yeah.
It's just been written, Simpsons Bore for
Yeah.
So this isn't on the farm,
No, this is in the.
this is only at the toilet block.
Correct.
Okay. So there's no bore there now.
No, it's a water tank.
So could I suggest that this report has Simpsons Board taken out and if Wharekau toilet bore left in?
Yeah.
Because if what I'm being told, this has got nothing to do with the water supply for Wharekau, which comes from the bore on Simpsons Farm.
No, the proposal is for a brand new borehole
Okay,
for the toilet block.
so
And one,
I just take some, I would recommend we take Simpsons Bore out because that would imply to me that it's Simpsons land.
fair enough.
This is on basically road reserve and we are wanting a bore so we can have a patent water supply for that toilet.
Fair, yeah.
I agree totally, we should do that.
Sorry, quite a few people still struggle with Wharekaho and still reference to it as
Well,
Simpsons
then
Beach, so.
Simpsons Beach,
yeah.
well, it's got Simpsons Beach, Wharekau, I don't mind, but when you say Simpsons Bore, for me reading that, that refers to Simpsons Farm.
Thank you, Tony.
So can we just look at Wharekau, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy.
Okay, so that's noted on
Yeah,
there.
because I was confused.
Sorry, through the chair, can I just go back to Kotari Path resolution? What investigation specifically are you wanting, just so we can refine that a little bit more?
You must go back to the community.
Yeah,
So you do want consultation?
I mean, probably go back to right. I don't want to overcomplicate it. I guess I'm questioning $15,000 for a path that may not be used a whole lot, and I don't think it's necessary. So we could take it out. We could suggest the resolution, we take it out for now.
What's at the end of the path, Jeremy? If there's
So basically it's an entrance to the sports park.
yes,
So, and it would take a path all the way through to the Memorial Garden. It would be great to have at some point.
yeah.
And it is used for, Anzac Day. Generally it's warm, with drier weather and it's not really an issue to walk across the grass.
Okay.
The skate park slightly confuses it in the fact that there will be all year round access through to the skate park, but that is only probably halfway to the Memorial Garden. So maybe a compromise would be initially do the first step to the skate park and then look at the continuation.
What's the current situation for getting?
It's just grass.
Just grass.
It's just across, and majority of the time it's not an issue.
Yeah.
No path.
No, what's sorry?
Yeah.
No path, yes, but it's,
Okay.
you just walk across the grass.
Okay, fine. Dan, you have something to add to?
Yes, it seems to me as though additional information is required from the park staff. So maybe it's just a point to note that additional information is required prior to moving forward with that piece of work. So you could move the report as is, acknowledging that there'll be further information in relation to Qatari.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear, I want to flag that I question spending $15,000 on a path that might be used a handful of times a year by a small number of people, when money could be spent a lot more wisely and more people will benefit from it. So that's what I'm, I guess, I'm here representing the community, saying, let's make sure we spend it smartly.
Yeah.
And get best bang for buck. And I'm suggesting this, in this instance, this is not best bang for buck.
Yeah, okay. Okay, is that covered in the current resolution that's up for grabs?
Can you read consultation? Can you read it up on the?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll read it out if you like. Request staff undertake further investigations into Kotahi Path and further consultation with affected residents and ratepayers. So is that?
Yeah.
Is that reflective? There'll be other notes about what you've just
Exactly, I think I'm.
stated.
It should be further engagement.
Yeah. Engagement with.
Engagement with the stakeholders.
And I'd be wary about putting ratepayers in there because everyone in Mercury Bay is a ratepayer, and they're not even going to know what Kotahi is.
Yes.
So just be careful on the word you use.
Stakeholders?
Stakeholders.
Yeah, that'd be, get it.
Through the chair, do you want that reported back to the board? At a later date?
Yeah.
So is that,
They'll be marked as an action.
okay.
I'll get followed along.
You cover the public forum.
Through the chair, if you'd like to discuss Mercury Park now, of reserve now, under this item while Derek's here, we can do that.
Okay.
So I'll kick it off.
Kick it off.
So you can see there was an email that was sent out from the media team to you guys.
Yep.
So we've done a bit of an internal review, and there's an acknowledgement in that email that we could have spoken to the boat club and the horse users prior to undertaking that work. So there has been meetings arranged with representatives of both groups. That meeting is this afternoon, which will be led by the community management team and supported by Parks. So there'll be more information coming after that, but essentially this will be the first meet and greet to have a chat about the proposal from Parks and the impact on those users. We've got Jamie Boyle here, who has designed the works that are proposed. Jamie will be attending with Heather and I this afternoon. So, yeah.
Okay, Tony, you've got something to add?
Well, I've read it, and what you said, I totally agree with. But everyone that I know in this town that drives up and down Buffalo Beach Road, and particularly the users, whether they be the horse users, the sailing people, to picnickers, or anybody for that matter, and particularly where someone that had a very high profile in town being Pat Doak, the late Pat Doak, this is a pretty sensitive area.
Mm-hmm.
And so the work, I'm not interested in the science behind it. I just trust that the people that are charged with that job are going to do the best job based on what they know and we don't know. But when something of community significance, the thing that frustrated me is it's happened, and then the people, some well known to us and some friendly to us, burst into social media, and probably it's one of the highest
Profile.
things that's actually happened in my time.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm asking is the process, and having decided that we're doing it, I'm not qualified to say whether Jamie's done the right thing or not. I'm not even going to enter into that discussion. All I wanted to know is that on this day, we will be commencing work to do the following things and why, and then mention that we are mindful of the memorial seat for the late Pat, and we have spoken to their family, and they are happy we're going to relocate it wherever. And then that would have taken half the very negative communication. It's part of what I've been going on for ages, a disconnect between us elected and the people doing the work. At the end of the day, people don't ring up staff and say they're going to roll, they ring us up. Mm-hmm. So all it's asked is when we do things, we knew this was coming, let's know. That's all I want to know. And then when people start ringing you up, you can give them an answer. That's what we have been. We've been blindsided by something which has probably been done for the right reasons. But if you take your pony there or you take your P-class dinghy there, what have we done to do that? Because that was certainly going to raise some questions. So that's, for me, it's the process on how we communicate, A, to the elected arm and then to our residents.
Kelly?
So I trawled through agendas and minutes way back to the beginning of the year, trying to find where this had actually come across the table so that we knew what the plan looked like and would have had the opportunity to say then that we've already advised the boating club, who are doing fantastic work, that we are not going to fund a hard structure in front of them. We've already had the conversations with them about needing to pick up their boating club and move it backwards. So there's not going to be a seawall there. So I think it's beholden of us to have had a conversation with the boating club about where they could launch their regattas, in particular their junior sailing. So my problem is that this work has been undertaken and I understand the science behind it and the reasons for it, but at no point could I find where we had a plan and a design, because at that point we would have said, you now have not enough adequate parking for boat trailers. I had a daughter who was a horse rider on that beach. And have we talked to the boating club about providing a hard area at Opuka Beach, for example, to compensate for the loss of the Mercury Reserve? So I'm looking like, as I'm sure the other elected members are, a complete twat, because I'm struggling to find where that discussion was had, and it wasn't.
I guess I'll just follow on. I'll probably just make a bit more forceful than these other. I picked up on your word, could have discussed it with our state, but it shouldn't have been, could have, should have, we should have talked to them. We've got a yacht club that we know in the community doing great work, and we know because of the erosion issues that they've been launching on. That should be a surprise to no one. And we've essentially taken that whole facility away from them without any consequence. It's quite staggering to me that it could have actually even happened like this. And without, you've been part of these conversations with the club, and I'm just astounded that it can happen, and then the fallout from it. You know, talk about when I first joined the community board, one of my things I really had on my list was to build trust with the community so council could work well, because I see there is this trust thing between council and the public, which isn't good for anything. You never achieve anything when you're working against each other. And this is just another example of rocking the building. And there's mistakes being made, we just can't keep making them. And this is a big one. Yeah.
All right, just before you go on, I have a funny feeling that wasn't there something in the arrangement to build the building that there was the potential for a need for it to be relocated?
But that's exactly what it is, and I think that's what they're doing. And so the comments we're getting about from one source, it just annoys me.
Yes.
When someone says the council and the community don't support us. It's absolutely wrong. We are. There's bloody thousands of man hours going into helping them. But this thing here sets up the elected arm back like 5 years. It's just not good enough.
Sure. Dan.
Yeah, so just to acknowledge that the discussions around the boat club itself are ongoing with Jonathan and the team there. And we'll continue to support them as we can. So that's one issue. And the points that were made today about us having that relationship and should have had that conversation around Makakapa Reserve. All of those comments have been acknowledged already by staff and acknowledged again by myself today. The communication with the Doak family was appropriate, was good, but the communication to the users that we just mentioned and the board was an acknowledgement that wasn't what you'd expect. So we'll take that away. We have the meetings this afternoon. I don't know where we'll get to in those meetings this afternoon, but we pulled them together at haste. We'll go, we'll attend, and we'll provide you an update as soon as we can.
Can I ask, sorry, to the chair, can I ask a question? is it an option or is it a consideration that if what comes out of this meeting today, that it's changed, or is it set in stone where we've landed as such? As far as what we've got there now.
Yeah, so probably a question for Parks. I can try and cover it
very well.
You know, we're flexible and we recognise that we've made a mistake and not consulted properly. So part of the conversations this afternoon are going to be give and take. So we're willing to take bylaws out, move to a degree. We're not going to change the whole approach, but at least
good.
Move what the users need. Yeah. And we've also, yesterday we're setting up a new process where this type of thing won't happen. We'll have a project sheet, identify what the changes to whatever we're doing are, have a comms plan, get signed off, go to the relevant area managers and they can deal with the comms with you guys.
So I was just through the chair going to ask that this comes back as a formal report in the next community board meeting before the end of this elected term. With those changes as a report that gets spoken to, is that possible? And what the results of the consultation with the stakeholders
Through the chair. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so first, you were going to say, Esther?
I was just going to say that the request can be made through the chief executive in writing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, if we can get the chair.
I think there's a willingness from the PAC staff and community management team to work through this. I'm not sure whether we'll meet the timeframes that you're talking about, Delhi, but once we have some certainty, then we'll be in communication and keep in contact. If it requires a report and the PAC staff have got the time to be able to do that report and a report is needed, then obviously that's an option. But it might not need a report. It might be an update that we're able to provide if there's a simple resolution. But until we've gone and we've spoken, we won't know that.
I would also, through the chair, request that there is some robust comms around this to the community as well.
Yeah. So the elected arm of community service, I'm not around, but people are going to stand again. This will crucify them. Like good people wanting to continue to make a contribution to the communities. People see it's us that are there. And so I would say, if I was looking at myself, looking at it, I'd say it's not an appropriate place to have horses, given what's happening with the Jews, and it's not an appropriate place to drag boats over the Jews. But we haven't had that discussion. And so people are using it at the moment, and part of the erosion is maybe attributable to the way it's used at the moment. I don't know that. But what Dali has raised, none of this came to us. We're all aware of the shoreline management program, what we're doing. We weren't doing anything special about that yet, because the first part was the overarching. We understand it. Now what do we do? So this thing here, I think the message going to go out is, ain't got nothing to do with anyone that's been elected, because we haven't had anything to say on it.
I see them.
We just bear the communication. And so that's all I ask. And if, I can't think, the damage has been done.
Sure. It's been roped off at the moment.
No, the bollards are there. Everything's in place.
Yeah.
To go and sow it,
Yeah.
do what they're going to do.
Yeah. Whatever.
The question has been asked now, when you go down with your horse, where do you park your truck and trailer?
Exactly. Yeah.
When you go down with your dinghy,
Yeah.
where do you park? Because we didn't actually talk to people that actually primarily use it. Never mind people like us that just drive past it and are nosy.
Yeah.
I was telling people we've roped that tree off a bit like the Moreton Bay feet.
Yeah.
Because the routes don't like people walking and driving and throwing their coffee and cigarette butts in there.
Yeah.
But then I saw the others going, and God, well, that's probably weird.
Bit of a shock.
Then I went down and looked at it. I thought, well, shit, the erosion's quite close to the edge of that now, so maybe we should do something. But I don't know. I agree. The comms need to go out, and it needs to be very sure that no one that has been elected knows anything about this and haven't anything to say about it, because they haven't.
And you know, through the chair and simply to the boating club, maybe the $15,000 from your part at Watari needs to be invested into some sort of slipway to facilitate easy launching of tickets. You know, it's like, to me, it's a no-brainer.
However, it hasn't been discussed and it's not on the table at the moment.
No.
Can you just clarify who's going to be at the meeting this afternoon?
So it'll be myself, Heather, Jamie, potentially Derek. And representatives from the boat club and
The horse riding.
the horse riding.
Okay, cool.
But we are just having a bit of a, as Jamie talked about, there's some internal work being done on the processes that led to this.
Yeah.
That's more of a corrective sort of action. And we're just having a look at it with a lens to check who else needs to be engaged with. So there are a few steps to go through.
Well, so through the chair, that today's meeting is the starting point. Doesn't it?
We can make sure in any communication that we have, including in our site visits, that we acknowledge that the board wasn't given this information. That's easy enough to do.
And I guess the only thing I'd add at the end of this is that, you know, in defence of the boating club, they're doing great work and, you know, with the erosion issues and they're bringing national events here that are, you know, really contributing to the town and the businesses and everything else. It's important we do really give it some weight, that they need something to be able to do what they do. I very much appreciate what we're doing on the erosion side of it, and it's obviously the key part of it, but if we can facilitate both, we should be.
I also note that there's a bit of a disparity between boats and horses in the same place at the same time.
Maybe they can go. I think the horses go down and off they go. Down the beach.
I
like both horses and boats, but not at the same place.
There's a bit of common sense there, though, isn't there, with the horse community?
Common sense is something that is an oxymoron.
We go back to this, everyone's let you say on that.
Right, okay. Is there, sorry?
If there's any more.
Yeah, is there any more comments on the works program on?
No, but thank you for just facilitating the ability to have that discussion.
Unless Derek has got something to add? No?
No, thanks for the opportunity. Jamie's answered it succinctly. Thank you, though.
Okay, thanks, Derek. Thanks, Jamie.
So it's moving us again, just the new resolution, so.
Okay, so can we have a listen to the new resolution?
Sure, I'll just put it on screen again if you like.
Thank you.
So that we can.
On smoker.
About now.
So there's the new resolution.
Okay, can you all read that? Right. Can you enlarge him in a bit or not?
I can read it. It's as large as it will go around
Okay.
for some reason, but I can read it.
Right.
So receives the report, which you all know. Number two, request staff undertake further investigations and engagement with affected stakeholders regarding the proposed Kotauri path.
Yeah.
Sound right?
Sounds
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Shall I move it?
If you feel like moving.
Okay, I'll move it.
Do we have a second?
Yep.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Now, does anyone feel the need for a short break?
How much agenda have we got left?
Not like 10 minutes.
Really?
Can we plug on?
Yeah.
Okay, so we carry on?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Andrew voted online for the food program.
Have we?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Andrew.
Morning. To the chair, any questions on the work programme?
Not from me, there's no.
Through the chair, just while you're looking at that, there have been some discussions with Andrew and his team and ops around how we produce work program reports across the district. And there's been a number of improvements made that you might have seen over time. The intention moving forward is to have an end of year completion report and then also a start of year report.
Yeah.
However, because of the timing of these meetings and the budgets being confirmed at the council meeting 9th of August, we weren't able to put them both into this agenda package. But moving forward, depending on the timings again, you should get a final report for the last financial year and a new report for the fresh financial year.
Yep.
And this will be ready for the next meeting.
So next
Should
week
be.
we'll have the new financial year, but if we roll on a year's time, then the new board, all of the new boards in August, we'll try and get them both sets of reports.
Okay, fine. Rika, I understand you have a question.
Update regarding the Whitianga transfer station, please, Andrew. Did you?
The what,
catch-
sorry?
Can we get an update regarding the Whitianga transfer station, please?
Yeah, we've got EPL doing the construction work. The stormwater work has been designed and priced, and I am reliably informed, subject to the weather, that work will start on site early September.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's good.
Roading and wastewater is currently being priced, and I would expect during the first couple of weeks of September that all design documentation has been issued and priced.
Does that cover your question?
Through the chair, thanks.
Right, fine, thank you.
Through the chair, I've got a question around the Esplanade reclamation.
Yep.
So, subject to approval August 9th, so that approval's been given. Yep.
Get through the chair, the approval's been given.
Cool. So what is the process of the establishment of an advisory group?
So the actions underway at the moment are with sending some formal letters. I'm just drafting some formal letters to the members of the group. We're also looking at the advertisement for the project manager, which will be a fixed term position, but we're just getting advice from HR about concurrently running an RFP for a consultant as to do whether to do one first or the other one, because we want to really test the market to get the right person. I've had some preliminary discussions with the interview panel, so we're sort of getting that stage ready. But in terms of timeframes, if that's what you're
I was asking more about the advisory group and who is that?
Yeah, so the timeframes for the advisory group, I think there'll be an October, November first meeting type schedule.
But who are the members of the advisory group and how are they being selected?
Okay, yeah, so one person from the marina, two people from the community board, and so we would look to the incoming community board probably at their first meeting to nominate, and two members of Ngāti Hau.
Excellent, thank you.
And is there any representation of the stakeholders? I guess I talk about stakeholders, I mean, talk about wharf users that are key parts. Is there going to be any representation? You could argue they are probably one of the most effective.
Yeah, so through the chair, in the project plan, it was approved by the community board and was noted by the council. The advisory group will first establish itself, identify who the stakeholders are, and then there will be engagement opportunities throughout the process.
You see, I do recall that.
Yeah, there was some discussion about whether it's kept tight to begin with or opened up, and I suppose that'll be one of the first decisions for the advisory group to look at what their stakeholder mix is.
Yeah, fair point.
And the project manager.
All right, are there any other questions for Andrew while he's here?
Through the chair, I've just got one update for everyone. The universal water metering project in Whitianga, there's approximately 200 sites to be completed. They're the more complicated ones, and I'm reliably advised that they will be completed by December this year.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
Oh, I do have another question through the chair. So the Matarangi wastewater treatment plant
Yep.
You've got some interest from an environmental group out there in terms of proximity to the harbour, and the
Yep.
locating of that extension. Where are you at with that? The
Well,
discussion with that group?
the project will, we've been waiting for quite some time to get a date for the resource consent hearing from WRC. I'm not sure where we are with the consultation with that group, but I expect it to be part of the resource consent discussions when we get the hearing. So I would think that that will come out of the mix in October.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Right, is there anything else for Andrew before we thank him and say goodbye? Was anything moved that we need?
We need to move them. We need to move it to the report.
Okay, could I have a mover and a seconder for the report, please? Thank you. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? None, carried. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Bob.
Right. Oh, where are we at? Action schedule. Donna and Heather. Right.
Report.
All right, so Tony was the mover and Jeremy seconder. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? None, carried. Right. Members reports, goodness me, okay.
I'll go first, you answer.
Why not?
Sorry, Jeremy.
I guess this is, I just wanted to, this is my last official meeting. My next one will be in person. My next one will be on Teams. Unfortunately, I'll be away. So I just wanted to make a few comments. It's more about the board members and the councillors. It's been a fantastic 3 years. I've really enjoyed working with you guys. And to Deli, Rika and Vol, I just want to acknowledge, I joined this community board as only the new member and have been for some time. And I just want to thank you very much for welcoming and giving me the sort of, mentoring and support. It's been fantastic. And Vol, I hope you enjoy your professional golf campaign going ahead. And
as soon as the surgeon will allow me on the track, I'm there.
To Deli and Rika, I really wish you both luck into council, and I think we both did a fantastic job. To Tony and Murray, I talk to you guys as singular because I think what you've done for this community over a long-standing period is quite incredible, and I don't think that you get the kudos that you deserve. One of my motivations to join the community board, I guess, was watching that town upgrade and what was done, turning this town from, what it was to what it is today. You two have been an incredible part of that, and I think what you've done over the Thames for this side should be really acknowledged. And I personally thank both of you for that. And you're going to take a lot of experience and knowledge and leave the building, and it's up to the new councillors to follow, because I've certainly linked on it, and it's great. So hopefully you guys can contribute and give other guys support going forward. To the staff, Heather, Alan yesterday, and Lorna, Bruce, Hinson, Brian, in recent times, Dean, thank you again for everything you've done. It's sort of made life easy. And I quite often think council is an easy target and an unfair. I get frustrated, I guess, even just, we talked about it in one item previously, and I would really love to see in the future the relationship being built between the community and the council, because I come from a background of teams and sport where if you don't have everyone working in the same direction, you achieve nothing. So I'd like to see as my motivation. This time I've made a personal decision not to stand again. And even since the deadline passed, I wonder whether I will regret that. But just through circumstances and a whole lot of stuff, I had to make a decision not to say maybe in the future or run again. But from one of my heart, I just want to thank everyone.
Thank you. Yes. Right. Kelly, would you like to?
Oh, so there's a little bit of community consultation going on at the moment, and I have had it noted from someone in Hahei that they're trying to submit on the Freedom Campaign survey, but there's a point where you.
Is it Penny?
Penny,
It's
yeah,
been fixed.
it's been fixed,
Yeah.
thank goodness for that. So, yeah, just, I think we do need to be aware that if they're, especially electronically, if people are trying to contribute something to that process, that it's bulletproof, because people do a lot of work and then they go to click and they get a red asterisk and they can't file their submission, and it's hard enough, as we know, to get the community to engage with those electronic or online processes. At Harbour Reserve, I've had quite a lot of kōrero around that, and that's been addressed. Thank you. We attended the eco drinks, the first eco drinks, which used to be called green drinks, and I think there was a bit of stigma or association with the Green Party that some people didn't like, so they renamed it, which is great. Awesome report from Kevin at the Men's Shed on what they've been doing and the potential relationship for them to work with the Resource Recovery Centre, which will be great. And also a lovely kōrero from Manus, from the Seedale Centre and Thames, and some of the opportunities we've got. There was a question around building waste being a part of a building consent. There was legislation 2017 that was the strategy report. Thank you. Can we have some follow-up on that, where we can capture or incentivise or get the build, because at the moment builders are telling us, and Rika can probably endorse this through Damien, that it's very hard. Everything goes into a scale. So is there something in the legislation or that report from 2017 that will allow us to make it a part of the consent for a building site that waste is captured, the bulk of what they're producing on the site is actually taken and dealt with appropriately? I'm not 100% sure. I actually want to see that documentation so I understand what it's about. 5G towers, lots of correspondence around that. And regardless of whether you think people are tinfoil hat wearing crackpots, or whether or not that science exists and is legitimate, I'm not saying I have an opinion on that or a judgment, but I think as elected members, we have to listen to the weight of opinion from people living in that area. So it's not me to be a scientist and say, I believe this is what happens when you have a 5G tower next to your bedroom. The weight on me as an elected member is to say 600 and something members of our community feel strongly enough to have signed a document to say they don't want that to happen. Now, I've been told by staff that it's not a community board decision. It is something that the planning department takes care of, and they have already made the decision to approve that. What I want to express is my disappointment that we can't listen to the community and actually work with the community to see if there is a better location for that, because they already have one. And then our mayor goes and says she wouldn't want 140 metres away from her bedroom either. So we're sending mixed messages, I feel. So without judging the reports that the members of the community have presented, we should be listening to the strength of feeling from the people that live in that community. Kaimana Cemetery, I've been talking with whānau of Joan Gaskell, and I'm just wondering I know we're not ready to open for business for want of better terminology, but I would like to know whether or not we can inter Joan's ashes sometime in the near future and have some sort of wee plaque or acknowledgement of Joan there. That's my next report.
Okay. Tony, do you want to carry on?
Okay, so mine are more a list of notes since I'll be exiting the building in the near future. But don't go off the line. So the dark skies thing is well and truly canvassed around here and supported, and it's supported at council.
Excellent.
And it is something that will ultimately be done through a district plan and other tools, but something I don't actually ever see drop off the radar, because it's all work done in the background and there'll be new people potentially here who probably will have no idea of what work has gone on behind and what support there was. The other thing that comes through strongly from all communities is security cameras. And that is security cameras to see who comes into our town and who leaves it. And also where we have any assets. So if we take what's going on even down at this Mercury Bay Reserve, I assure you, no matter what you do, when it's done, someone will be there with a digger and all your bollards and ropes will be taken out. I'll put any money on it. I'll take any bet now. In fact, I'll give you 10 to 1 on any money you give me. That's how confident I am that's going to happen. What we need to be able to do is let people know that you're under observation, and if we find you, there's a consequence. Because even if I don't agree with what's going on, I can't sit back and see what I see as willful public vandalism of any sort. I won't go on about the gym planning, but at the meetings I've been to, some positive stuff out of communities, and they refer to Matarangi and Apedo and the success of those projects. I don't think that we highlight those enough to let people know that not everyone, so if you go to the voting club, they'll tell you that gym planning is a waste of time. But there are many examples where it isn't. And I've often gone and talked about the one south of here, where we moved the coastal erosion line 11 metres seaward. That is how successful they were. Even part of Buffalo Beach Road, people are complaining now because we've lost its sea view. They're that successful. So I just think we need to keep talking more about what goes right in our organisation than the things that don't go so right, and that is one of them. Something now out of the shoreline management program for those that have been following that online, and that's now wrapped up, that I've mentioned at council, but for this community board, the next thing that should be done in this town is a spatial plan. I know it's expensive, but you simply cannot go and start building stuff and providing amenities if you don't actually know what the big game is. So Band-Aids, they stop the immediate bleeding, but they don't really stop the problem forever. So I just raised that. And the other thing that's going to come your way in our community is once they get the adaptation part of the shoreline management program underway, there'll be some things to do. So you can build here if you are 1.8 metres or whatever it is above sea level. You can do these things, you can shift it. The problem when you do it is bloody legislation there, but for the user, the complexity to understand it and go through it and the cost involved is hideous. So I just think have in the back of your minds that when you're playing in this area, that you make it simple and cheap. In other words, take the bureaucracy out of it. It's not about creating jobs. I'm going to say, for many of us, probably get rid of half of them and actually redeploy them in other areas. But you can't run people through a consent process when you get to that stage just to satisfy your own needs. So I'll just leave that bit with you. The Mercury Bay Reserve, it's been well canvassed, and some communication I had about noise complaints and dogs, which came from Jackie Hilton. I sent into staff. She came back to me last night. The better answer she'd had it. So they're going to talk to Jackie. If anyone's talking to Jackie, it hasn't not been dealt with. It has been dealt with. And interestingly enough, the complaints have been dealt with. But yeah, that's it from me. And I'll catch up with my final words at the last meeting.
Okay. Murray? Where's Murray?
Yeah. There you go. He's coming.
Evening.
Yeah, hi.
I apologise for not being at the meeting, but I've got a cough and I thought it was better to stay away, even though I don't think I'm contagious in any shape or form.
Thank you.
Just a comment, Macrocarpa Reserve. I've had 2 emails while this meeting has been on. I can only agree with Tony, when we are right, let's wave the flag, but likewise, when we are wrong, let's not get involved in too much bureaucracy. Let's admit it and go and sort it out. Jeremy, thank you for your comments. All the best for your future. I will make my comments at next meeting, but all the best for you. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right.
Obviously, I've admitted, but I'll certainly be there if you don't mind. So the local government conference that Murray and I attended.
Yep.
For me personally, for something that was going to look at the future, big issues, water, local government reform, but particularly and RNA reform. For me, it was a waste of council's money. Every council money sent anyone there. There was nothing that came out about what the issues are and what are people's experiences and how they're attacking. That's what I went there. In fact, I didn't make my mind up to stand or not stand for council until I'd been to that meeting. And after I went to it, it told me it's time to be out of it. For me, and my recommendation to council, I see no value in TCDC paying a fee to be a member of local government NZ, when local government NZ, in my eyes, is an agency of central government to help provide a conduit between them and us, not the other way around. So I don't think local government New Zealand have listened to our concerns. When I say ours, I mean all territorial authorities' concerns, and taken those back because we'd be in a very different place. So from that conference, I'm grateful to have had the chance to go. Did I get any value out of it? No. And will I leave it as council? No. The highlight was Jackie Clark, who hosted the Conversation Awards. Next year, it's fantastic. Anyhow, so that's that from the local government for me. Sorry, I didn't put that in there.
Bill, can I just add a little bit on the social government, the local government conference?
Absolutely.
I'm just looking at my report here, and I said, what have I learned? This conference if this conference is anything to go on, council of the future will be social agencies.
Yeah.
What is co-governance? Some are saying equal. So it posed the question, where is democracy, one person, one vote? And how do we fund the wants of society? And the words of the Mayor of Palmerston North, the current rates and fees model is unsustainable. And my last comment, would I attend a local government conference again? This being my first? No. Did council get value for money? No. Do I question the functions of local government New Zealand? Yes. The whole thing was contrived so that there was no plenary discussion. The whole thing was contrived so the annual meeting was out so it couldn't be discussed. The whole thing was supposed to be about the future, which it wasn't. There were a couple of good speakers which were shut down. Extremely disappointing conference.
Okay, all done. Now, Rika, yeah, Rika, you've got something to say?
Through the chair, she's just put a comment up.
Yep.
So she echoes the the comments made regarding the bollards. Extremely frustrating. She says she's very happy to be here. Thanks for your comments, Jeremy. Don't be a stranger. Hope to be back at full steam next meeting. Thanks for chairing, Bill.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice one, Rika.
Right. Okay. Right. So I've got things to say. Tony, you'll be aware of one thing. Does the name Brian Cochrane ring a bell with you?
Yes.
Okay. He's absolutely devastated when he rang me, and I've had a couple of meetings with him, and I've sought advice, and I still am not sure. He was absolutely horrified that a 400-year-old Hahutakoa tree was felled in Hahutakoa Grove. And my question, and which I can't answer, was whether or not that was a permissible act.
It is.
It is.
There are no heritage trees in Whitianga that I know about.
Yeah.
No, there's been no stem counts done there. He was on private property. My understanding was that he had talked to the landowner.
Yes.
They were going to build around the tree, but other people with a different interest had convinced them to chop it down.
Yes.
But nothing untoward. So as disappointing as it is,
yes.
private property rights. And the tree, as I say, there are very few particular trees in the district, in fact.
What number, colour?
13A or something like that. Yeah. There was no view issues from the complainant. Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah. Private property. He did tell me that there was a plan to, for the owner to extend and was going to, as you say, work around the tree. But if there is no protection for heritage trees, then there's no case to answer. Dean?
Just a comment. I'm not sure if you have already, but our regulatory department, Ryan Taylor and his team are available to if you wanted to seek advice, which because we might have got some comments from.
Yes.
So I'm just noting that they are available to you.
Okay. All right.
Discussion.
Okay. So he hasn't rung me back. He was going to speak to Joe. I don't know whether he has. My phone has stopped, so.
Yeah, I've spoken to phone.
You have?
Yeah, I know.
There's no protection, so that's
No.
awful.
Yeah, all right. And the other one is, and I think the, I made a comment about the deterioration of the berm for 100% of the. Yeah. And I've made a few notes there and made some suggestions. I haven't heard back from anyone, but basically to put it in a nutshell, as you leave the 100% area of Guthrie Barron or whatever, people are driving straight across the berm and it's late when it rains and it's just a mud path and there's no recovery in terms of that. It's just happening. 40 metres along was a pole with a sign on it, right arrow crossed out. What I'm suggesting is that that arrow has the crossing out removed because a lot of people, when they leave the area, turn left and go stop in the middle of the road when the road is clear and turn right. Now, ironically, if you go to the car wash, that's where you go. You stop at the footpath to make sure there's nothing coming from the right. You move into the middle of the road in case there's something coming from the left and you make a right turn, right by the pole. So my argument is let's get rid of that cross, let people do that turn, allow the berm to be reinstated and a little arrow, so go that way if you're turning.
Obviously, there's been a little bit of correspondence around this, and I saw it yesterday. It's an absolute mess. Certainly not my solution thing, but you do wonder because it's that whole commercial area. Does it need some access way across there? I don't know. I mean,
the difficulty at the moment there is there's not enough asphalt. If you go further along, there is no berm, and it's the berm that's getting in the way.
People are just bloody tired, Bill. They don't want to turn left to go around the roundabout. So I just say, so I thought that the solution was off from staff was almost offhand.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't want the place looking like bloody Beirut.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But we should stop it because it looks bloody dreadful.
It is.
It is simply tired us.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we want them to go there, then pave it.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's my point.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of a risk.
Yeah.
The irony of it too, there's also a pedestrian footpath at exactly that point.
Through the chair, I will follow up with our roading team.
Okay. Great.
On where they've got to with your comments that have been fed back.
Yeah.
Something else I saw was about it's coming out in our media. It's the speed limit review.
Yes. We're going to talk about that later.
All right, could we have movers and seconders? Thank you. So we have Tony moving, Jeremy seconding. All those in favour? All those against? Passed. All right, now.
Public forum, we just need.
We have to have that speed limit because Jeremy will leave.
I'm gonna just need to move to public excluded.
Okay.
You can say that these services that.
You can say the first vote. Yeah. You can say the first vote and then we have to vote and come back.
See, Alison, thank you for the swim donation. Really appreciate that.
Through the chair, can you just get a moving second to move it?
I'll move it, go in.
Stop.
Who's moved for going in the public?
I'll move it, go in.
And, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you.